I can't think of a more frustrating season than this one for the Bulls. I honestly can't. And I know if you follow me on Twitter, you already saw me tweet that, and I know some will say, well, come on now. The Bulls had much worse seasons than this one. How about the Jim Boylan days, or the 3 Alpha season? Or what about the post-Dynasty era when Jerry Krause thought he was assembling this amazing young team only to have them put up less than 20 wins in a season? Which, by the way, I am old enough to remember those years. I'm old enough to remember the 90s Bulls as well. But the difference here is we expected the Bulls to be bad then. The Jim Boylan days, they were frustrating times, no question. It was embarrassing to be a Bulls fan when that guy was heading the team. But do people not remember those rosters? We had guys like Denzel Valentine, Ryan Arcidiacono, Paul Zipser, Justin Holiday in the rotation. Hell, Cristiano Felicio. They were getting minutes in the rotation on occasion. Yeah, they had young talent like Zach Lavine, Larry Markkinen, Wendell Carter Jr. was okay. Coby White obviously came in later as a rookie. He was okay, but the team was supposed to be bad. We weren't supposed to be winning anything. It was a rebuilding team. Like when the Bulls would lose then, it was almost like, well, this shouldn't be a surprise. And if anything, we now have a higher draft pick to look forward to because the Bulls actually owned their picks at that time. And then when they won, it was like, hey, how about that? They had a good game tonight. Obviously, I would never want to go back to those days because it's painful to see a team in a state of rebuilding year after year. But this season, a season in which you gave Zach Lavine a max contract, you more or less ran it back with the same crew with a couple of minor changes in Drummond and Dragic. They let Troy Brown Jr. go. And you see what the Bulls had to do to get this roster in place that it is today, trading away draft picks, young players, handing out big contracts. You see the overall talent on the roster. I mean, looking at it in a vacuum anyway, like individually speaking, there's a lot of talent on this roster, much more talented than the rosters from the Jim Boylan and Fred Hoiberg days. And then you see them putting on this kind of piss poor effort this season. I promise I'll talk about the game since I know this is technically a post-game video, but I really just can't fathom how this team could be this bad and yet nothing was done at the trade deadline. The Bulls are 26-30, 10th place in the Eastern Conference. The Raptors are starting to play better basketball. They're only a half game behind the Bulls now in the standings to where the Bulls would be out of the play-in picture if they were to pass the Bulls. And look, I know Lonzo Ball being out and likely is going to miss the entire season. That really derailed so much of the plans overall for what they had in mind for this roster in the limited window that they had to win with Vucevic and DeRozan in their 30s. But even without Lonzo Ball, for the most part, this team has been healthy, aside from Javonte Green missing a good amount of time. This team has been healthy. They shouldn't be this bad. They should not be 26-30, and it's also the manner in which they've been losing games. Non-competitive in the final stretch, low energy, no sense of urgency, poor attitude, complaining about calls or pointing fingers at others for missed assignments, collapsing under pressure, bad decision making. And look, I know some of you have been saying in the comments, dude, why have you been so negative on the channel recently? Just nothing but negativity. I'm sorry, but what is there positive to talk about for this team? You saw me positive in praising this team last season when they were one of the best teams in the East because they were playing so well. They were playing with heart, hustle, and energy. As a fan, that's what I want to see. None of this soft basketball that we have been witnessing. So yeah, I'm sorry if I've been negative, but this team, quite frankly, doesn't deserve much praise or even get the benefit of the doubt of, well, they don't have Lonzo. Well, they played well against good teams. Well, they've had some good stretches. Maybe they'll turn things around. How? I honestly would love to hear how some of you think that this team can turn things around. And please don't say adding Westbrook or some nonsense like that. Russ isn't moving the needle for this group, all right? The trade deadline is passed, so it's not like the Bulls can make any moves from here on out. We know what this team is. They're not going to magically figure it out because they don't fit well together. They don't have three-point shooting. They commit too many turnovers, and they don't have high IQ players. And of course, the biggest one of them all, they don't have that will to win. They don't have the drive and competitive spirit like you would see from teams that maybe don't have the best talent, but they bring it every night that they come out onto the court. Anyway, what do I even say about this game? I mean, it was nothing really new. Bulls looked solid to start the game. They were moving the ball well, playing with a good amount of energy, playing solid defense, hitting their shots. Like they were playing efficiently, especially going up against one of the best defensive teams in the league in the Cavs. But then what happened? Third quarter, mainly the end of the third quarter, they came out flat, giving away too many easy buckets, committing a ton of turnovers. And as soon as the Cavs got themselves back into the game towards the end of the third, you could see it in the Bulls' body language, their demeanor. They knew it was happening again, giving up a lead, letting a team go on a run, and getting down on themselves again as a result of it. Taking bad shots, tentative on shots for which they should have taken, poor ball movement. Even when they would have breakaways, they looked lost out there and couldn't execute on a fast break. And then once the fourth quarter hit, you knew it was done. Nothing was going their way. Couldn't make layups, more turnovers. Cavs were actually finally hitting their shots since they missed a lot of their shots to start the game. The Cavs opened up the quarter 22-4. 22-4. Bulls made it a little more respectable as they went on a mini run at the end of the game, making it a little interesting, but it was too little too late by that point. 22 turnovers tonight for the Bulls as a team. Zach Lavine and DeMar DeRozan combined for 9 of them. And again, we go back to the three-point shooting. Something AK downplayed and said wasn't really a problem because even though they're not shooting them at a high rate, they're making them. No, the Bulls went 5 for 21, 23% from 3 tonight. Cavs didn't shoot 3-ball well either, but the difference is like the rest of the league living in 2023 style basketball, they put up 35 threes. It got to the point where the Bulls just weren't even taking threes after a while. That also killed them in the fourth quarter because they would have good looks from 3, but then would pass it up because they've been shooting it so poorly from distance. Here, I'll say one thing that was positive from tonight. That way, it's not just another video of me ranting about another loss. This was a good game for Patrick Williams and Dosunmu. I'm not saying they did everything right because Pat still isn't the most aggressive, doesn't cut to the basket as much as he should, doesn't come down to the basket to close out for a shot for an offensive rebound. And after a pretty bad game from Pat, in which he was benched because of his poor play, Pat came out hungry and aggressive in the first quarter, scoring 9 points to start the game. Tapered off a bit and didn't do much on the offensive front after that, but still finished the game with 13 points on 6 for 10 shooting, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. He's been great at being active, by the way, and picking pockets and getting those steals. And he's been more aggressive in using his size to snatch rebounds. And then Ayo wasn't as involved on the scoring front, but a season-high 8 assists tonight. That was good to see. Bulls need improved court vision. It's been killing them all season to not have a true point guard to help facilitate the offense. Patrick and Ayo were the only 2 starters to finish on the positive end in the box plus minus. Outside of that, nothing else to really feel good about this game. Zach Lavine, 23 points, but also had 5 turnovers. Didn't score at all in the third quarter. Hate to say it, but also quit on too many plays, complaining to the refs. Don't know how many times we've seen that throughout his career. DeMar, it's been interesting because he's not commanding the ball as much as he used to. He's not taking as many shots as we're used to seeing, which I guess is a good thing in a way because oftentimes his high usage has led to the Bulls' downfall. But we need more scoring from DeMar than just 16 points. Not every day you see DeMar and Patrick Williams putting up the same number of shot attempts in a game. And then Vucevic, it's good that he's been more active and efficient in the paint, but he's right back to his poor shooting from outside, 0 for 4 from 3 tonight. He finished the game with 14 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists. Anyway, the Bulls have a couple of quote-unquote easier games coming up, back against the Magic at home, and then the Pacers, and then they play their last game before the All-Star break against the Milwaukee Bucks, but we all know by now the Bulls will likely lose to the Magic and Pacers, and then beat the Bucks to give us a little bit of hope that they're going to turn things around. Whatever, this season is a wrap anyway, I should probably just start accepting that. Check out my NBA channel, by the way, M1 Hoops, link to that is in the description. Also be sure to subscribe to this channel, and as always, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.